Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, today I'm going to create a project for Papertrey Ink. We're going to create a card using some new items over at the Papertrey Ink shop. This is part of their latest release, and I was super excited about this tree. This tree is so nice. It's called the Elegant Edges Wispy Tree. It's a two-piece die set. These are actually will come delivered attached together, but I did separate them. And what this does is it creates the outline for the tree, and then it also creates a beautiful tree that you can use the positive and the negative, because the negative will have some beautiful dotted detail, kind of create a little bit of a wispy wind. I thought that was really pretty. So we're going to use this today. And we're also going to use a brand new stencil set. This is the dotted Hexagon stencil set. It's a two-piece set that's great for A2 size cards. You have a smaller scale and a larger scale. We're going to use the smaller scale on our project today. So I love this because of all the dotted details. It's going to add a nice background to our project. So we're going to start by doing some die cutting. I have a piece of cardstock. This cardstock measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now it's going to leave me a slight border around my card base. So I'm going to start by taking my tree and using this as a template. It's nice that you can flip it around because you have the straight edge on the bottom of the tree. This is a nice guide to where you would want to place it on your panel. Now if you have it crooked like this, it's not a good thing because your tree is going to be crooked. So use that tree trunk as a guide. I'm going to figure out where I want to put it on my card. And I think this is the perfect spot. And then I'm going to first die cut out my outline. I think that's going to be helpful before we try die cut out our tree, because I'm going to do some layers. So I'm happy with my placement here. I'm going to find the same shape as my outline, like so. And then I'm going to lightly tack this down right over my tree die, and then I'm going to slide it out. This way I know it's perfectly positioned where I want it to go. I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and I'll be right back. This will be my outline, and then your tree should line up beautifully with it. And then I'm going to set this aside, because this is going to be where we're going to put our tree. I'm going to take our tree background and a few extra pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to die cut out 3 trees. Now, after I ran this through my die cut machine, you can see how most of the pieces stayed in. I took advantage of that, and what I did was take these extra little leaves, I put them back in their home, and then I used 3M Post-it note tape over the back side. That's what I did to this panel that was right side up. So behind it, I have some Post-it note tape. It's a low, or any kind of low tack adhesive tape you could you have would work. So I just put it behind this piece. Okay, I'm not worried about the leaves falling out of these because I'm not going to use the leaves on these two. I'm actually just going to use the tree. I want to add a little dimension to our tree, so I cut out 2 extra trees. So I'm going to take the tree from this one also. You can see how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? And then if you lose some leaves, you have some extra ones, or want to add some fillers, you can always use these. Now I do want to mention that this little extra piece off to the side, let me see if I can show you. Right here, this is what it looks like. I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to create a full tree. I'm not going to use this piece because I want a space to where I can put my sentiment. And so I can remove this and have a space. Since this is pretty much the width of an A2 size card, I have a little space to put my sentiment, and I really like that. So I'm not going to use my extra piece here. So let's put our dies aside. And then with the panel that we created and put the Post-it note or the low tack adhesive behind, I'm going to use this for coloring. I'm going to do coloring with my ink pads, and I'm going to use 3 different colors. I have greens, a teal, and a yellow. I have New Leaf, Hawaiian Shores, and Harvest Gold. Now to add color to my background, I call it messy coloring because it's very easy to do. Let me grab my finger dauber here. Very, very easy to do messy coloring. I'm actually going to put these off to the side. I want a gradient on my tree, and so we're going to start with our Harvest Gold ink. And if you keep it inside, you could color directly on your die cut tree trunk, but to me this is a lot easier because I can get it all at once. Now I'm going to pick up some ink with my finger dauber, and I want the tree trunk to be my Harvest Gold, and I'm going to lightly go over my tree trunk here. We're going to blend all three colors together, so you want enough room to do a little bit of blending. Okay, so my bottom of my tree is colored with the gold, and I'm going to leave my ink out because we have some leaves to color in. My next color will be green. This is New Leaf, and I'm going to use my finger dauber for the next color. I'm going to tap off a little bit of the ink so it transitions well to the Harvest Gold. And then I'm just going to add some more color. Okay, and once I'm happy with this, I'm going to take my Hawaiian Shores and we're going to go around the edges of our tree here. And I think this blended really well together. Kind of looks like a hot mess, but okay, but it's going to look really fabulous when I'm done. Now, I have some leaves that go around and I want different colors. So I'm just going to use those same finger daubers and add some color to those leaves. Kind of alternating between them. Okay, I think that looks perfect. We got quite a few colors in there. Okay, now we're going to put our inks aside. I did replace this little yellow leaf with one of the extras here. That's the nice thing. And if you wanted to take these and go ahead and add some colors to these, you could, in case you lose some pieces. Like so. And then you can switch them out if you wanted to. So we have backup leaves and we have more leaves here. Now I'm going to layer these together. And to do that, the easiest way for me to do it is to use some adhesive. So I'm going to use my tape runner. Of course, if you wanted to use glue, you could. But I think tape runner works fast. I think it all depends on your tape runner. Okay. And then I'll take this one. I'm going to layer it on my other white one. And if you want to pick it up to help adjust it, you can, but it layers pretty easy, especially with those leaves on the end. This is going to give me dimension. So this has two layers together. I'm going to flip this around, and then we're going to add some adhesive behind here. And then I'll take this, and I'm going to place this on my background here. It's very easy to replace it. So we have a little bit of dimension. Now after we have our base layer, if you need to add more adhesive behind it, you can. Just tack those down. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to carefully remove our Post-it note tape. If one pops out, you can always put it back. Okay, I have a few of my pieces that popped out. I'm not too worried about that, but I do want to take out my tree trunk. Just punch it out. It should punch out pretty easy. And there is a little bit of a white area here. I'm going to go ahead and add a little color to. And then I'll flip this over. I'm going to add some adhesive behind here. And I'm not going to add this just yet. Now, I have adhesive behind this tree, but I'm not going to add it just yet. What I want to do is flip this panel over. And again, some of the leaves fell out, but that's okay. I'm going to use my glue, and we're going to add glue behind the ones that didn't pop out. You want to make sure that you're just adhering to the leaves because everything else won't stick. Now, what you can do next is take this, line it up over your existing, like a puzzle. Whoops, kind of got stuck to me. But line it up to over your existing piece, and you're going to press this background inside its home. So I'm going to use the reverse side of my pick. I'm going to just press these down. This way I know they're stuck to my card. They're in their home. And then you can see I have all these leaves left over. That's where I can just add dots of glue on the inside of my panel. And we can inlay those. It's actually pretty relaxing. I'm not going to add any extra glue over here because that's where we're going to put our sentiment. Just in the open areas here. And then we can just go ahead and add some leaves here. And I think for the most part the leaves are pretty much the same size. I mean, so if you want to mix and match them again. Now I have all my leaves, and so the easy part is to lift this up. Since there's no glue behind here, our leaves should be stationary, carefully. I'm missing a leaf, so I'm just going to place that there. And we have some beautiful leaves in the background. Now we have adhesive behind our tree here. What we're going to do is place this over the top, our third layer. Tack this down, and then our tree has dimension and color, and I just love the way this looks. Oops, we gotta lift this one up here. There we go. So our background is done, and if you're missing a few leaves or you want to add more leaves, again, use your extra pieces here, and you can always take these and add some more if you wanted to. And I'm not using this piece. Let me show you where it would go. But you see the dotted detail in the negative? How beautiful is that? But this piece would go right here. Now we have our panel. This measures 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's the same width as our tree. And then we're going to take our stencil. I already put pixie spray behind it. Pixie spray is a low tack adhesive. I'm going to tack this down to my card front. Once this is tacked down, I'm going to go ahead and use, I wanted a soft background. So we're going to bring back our Harvest Gold ink. I'm going to use, since I have my finger dauber out, I'm going to use this. And then the detail in here is very small. So I want to make sure I get all those dots. And I'm just going to go over my panel. For the most part, we're just going to go over the upper half of it because you're not going to really be able to see behind it. So we're going to go about right here. I think that's going to work out great. Now I always like to wipe my stencil off while it's on my panel. For me it's just easier cleaning, but it's just me. Now we're going to do our reveal. And isn't that a nice, beautiful, subtle background? Soft, and it goes perfect with our tree. So let's set this aside, and then we're going to stamp our sentiment on our panel here. I'm going to bring in an acrylic block, and we're going to use the Just Sentiments, You're on My Mind. And I love the You Are My Happy Place, and I think it's going to fit perfect in this area here. So we're going to stamp with True Black ink. just ink this up and stamp right here. And it's stamped perfect. I put adhesive behind my panel, and we're going to go ahead and tack this down to our aqua mist panel. I'm going to pull up my tree panel a little bit on my background. I want a little more room here on the bottom, and I think we may adjust this in just a minute. But I am going to add a little bit of a lacy bottom, so to do that I'm going to use the Papertrey Ink Filigree Border Die. This is a really pretty border die. I'm going to die cut this out with white cardstock, and then I'll be right back. And then I'll take my Harvest Gold, and I'm going to place this on the very bottom. I'm going to trim off the excess. And then I'll take my filigree border. We're going to add adhesive behind this. I went ahead and put my border just above my Harvest Gold cardstock. Now I did that, and I have a little bit of a gap here under my tree. I'm not worried about that because we're going to add some ribbon. So I'm using some fresh snow ribbon here. And I'm going to go ahead and trim down a piece. I'm going to flip over my panel here. I'm going to add some adhesive. And then I'll take a piece of my ribbon, and the ribbon is what's going to go right under my tree trunk. And fold over the left and right. We're going to kind of make a faux bow. Once I'm happy with this, whoops, I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow with my ribbon. I'm going to take a glue dot, maybe a couple of them, and then we're going to adhere our bow off to the right here. Now we're going to bring in our card base. Our card base is a standard A2 size card base. It's top folding. We're going to go ahead and add adhesive behind the back of our panel, and we're going to tack this down directly on the front of our card base. Once this is adhered, I do want to add a few gems. I'm going to be using some rainbow gems. These are beautiful, almost an iridescent color to them. I don't know if, let me see if the camera can pick that up or not, but they are beautiful. I'm going to add some gems around my tree because we need a little bit of sparkle, and I love that there's different sizes of these. Okay, I think this is so pretty. And then that finishes my card today for Papertrey Ink. Beautiful shine, and those gems are really picking up those colors. But thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a lovely day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.